Happy Wednesday. How's everybody out there doing today? I'm doing just fine. Enjoying my peace, my space, and I'm also watching my food while it cooks. On the smoker, nothing too big. Got some sausages, hot dogs, and a pork loin to make some chopped barbecue, chopped barbecue, whichever one you prefer. Yep, it's cooking nice and slow. I'm back in my peaceful place. I love it here. If I wouldn't, my voice is a little hoarse. All this pollen in the air, and I don't have allergies, but it's affecting my voice for some reason. But if I would never have left Brooklyn, I couldn't even imagine this life. Your own space. I'm talking about a lot of space, and it's peaceful. It's peaceful. Brooklyn is my home. I miss being in Brooklyn, but it's not the same. So, the Brooklyn that I remember is way different. Thank God for pictures, the memories, because that's all we have. It's not the same at all. It still feels like home, but, a lot of things are unrecognizable. Well, I'm here to finish my story. Welcome to Tea Time with T. Okay, my son just walked out the door. So let me see what he's trying to, he's going to check on the food like he cooks. Anyway, I finished where those sausages and hot dog just about done. I'm going to take them off the grill. Excuse me. I'm going to take them off the grill in about 10 minutes. Get a fork and something to put it in. No, they about done. I told you that I'm gonna take them off in about 10 minutes. Oh, I'm so sorry. My son just. But anyway, back to my story. I left off where when I felt a certain way about being on this earth, and I wanted to delete myself. Oh no, I got past that. Okay. When that didn't happen, I just started smoking more weed. Yes, I was 12 years old. I started smoking more weed, and it used to mentally take me, away from whatever, I was experiencing or going through. It took me away from being hurt, feeling pain. Drugs were invented, for people with pain. Although I was 12, my uncle, Jesse, God rest his soul, he used to smoke reefer, in the bamboo. So when he would put his weed out, he leave them big ass roaches. So I used to pick them up and act like I'm smoking. But my uncle Jim, the one that's more like my brother, the one that used to let me in the house, after his mother went to work, I come in the house, and just before she come home, he would wake me up or whatever, or, mommy getting ready to come home, you can't be here because you don't get out of school till 3 o'clock, and she gets home a little after 2. That uncle. Anyway, he said, you're not smoking. You're not smoking. I'm like, what you mean? Look, I am smoking. And he was like, you have to inhale. So after practicing several times inhaling without coughing, I got the hang of it. So by this time I'm smoking more and more weed, a mental escape. So, any guy that really paid me attention back then, I would migrate to him, because that's what I was looking for. Attention, affection. I was, a kid in need of affection. My mother is not affectionate at all. Okay, I don't ever remember my mother giving me and my sister a hug. That's just how she is. And before I continue, before I go any further, let me just say this. My mother did her absolute best. She did the best that she could do Mind you, she had my sister when she was 17, then she had me when she was 19. Never been on her own, but when she got pregnant with my sister, she left her mother's home. The story was every summer or every other summer, my mother used to go to her father's side of the family, and spend the summer with them and spend time with them. Back then, kids were very obedient, so she told her mother that summer that she was going to her grandmother's house for the summer. And my grandmother said, okay, if it was a problem, they know how to get in touch with my grandmother, my mother's mother. So summertime came and going. This was the summer of, it had to be 1967, because my sister was born March 1968. So, the summer of 67, it was time for her to go back to school. Last year in school or whatever. And so she wasn't home. My grandmother called my mother's paternal grandmother, her biological father's mother. She called her Estelle. Where's Faye at? My mother's name is Sandra Faye. Last name was Deans or Williams. But everybody called her Sandra or Sandra. So my grandmother asked Estelle, where's Sandra at? She's not home. She's supposed to be home for school. And then my mother's grandmother said, well, she didn't come here. We haven't seen her this summer. My grandmother was like, what? I thought she was with y'all. Come to find out, just before my mom, went missing, my grandmother, she suspected something. She did all the laundry. So she suspected something. So, she would put, the personal hygiene products, out in the open, and when she seen that they wasn't being used, she said, Faye, are you pregnant? Whatever else. So my grandmother said, if you pregnant, your dad is going to kill you. She was talking about her husband, which is not my mother's biological father, but, that was the only father that she knew. So instead of my mother coming clean and telling her mother, yes, I'm pregnant, she picked up and ran away. She ran away with my father. By the time she came back in the picture from being missing in action, she came back with the baby. That is a whole nother story behind that, but let me just say she was 17, probably just turned 17, because my sister's a year and a half older than me. So, she was scared, and she ran. But by the time she came back with the baby, so nobody could really say anything, and that's when she, was getting out on her own, her and my father. I came along a year and a half after my sister. So, she lived with my father, raising children. She didn't finish high school because she got pregnant and had a baby. But, she went and took classes, got what she needed to get. And by the time me and my sister were 4 and 5, my mother, she had a job working in the school system on a PTA meeting. She was like the treasurer, collecting money and stuff, but my father, he was a fall down drunk. So he used to, how drunks are, addicts are, if they think that there's money around, they want the money. And if my mother was like, no, this is not my money to give, I need to do this, and he ain't trying to hear that, he strong arms her and took, whatever he needed to take. And I was young, but I remember them talking about the PTA. What had happened was my father, she was the treasurer of the PTA at the school, and my father, he found the stash and he took the money. He didn't know what my mother was saving it for. Maybe it was, something that we needed, more clothes, whatever. He just took the money. and didn't care about, what happens, the repercussions. So I guess that was the final straw. And my mom, my mom, every woman has a man that they can pick up and call and jump right back into whatever it was. You know, every woman has a man they can just pick up and call, yo, what's up, and pick up with, where they left off. But so my mom, she was fed up with his antics and what he was doing. She was trying to, be decent, take care of her kids and work, as as any other good parent. When I was younger, I remember we used to move a lot. That's because my father was irresponsible. Just like I said, an addict, they'd rather get their fix versus paying bills. Although, I loved my dad. That was my first superhero. I loved my dad so much. He was no good for my mom and us. And now that I'm older, I'm glad that she was strong enough to, make that decision to leave his ass where he was at. Her and Barry, they conspired behind his back because he was always out drinking. He didn't even see what was going on. The blind man, who I only met one time, they were, in communications, and they decided to go half and half and move into a house, which they did. So my mother, she did the best that she could with what she had. Always kept a roof over our head. She wasn't as involved as me and my sister would have liked her to be. School plays, things going on at school. I even signed up for gymnastics. I wanted my mother's support. You want your mom to be there. I didn't have a father to be there. He can contact us, but we had no way of contacting him. There wasn't no cell phones back then, only landlines. And she made sure that she kept a roof over our head. She just needed a stronger partner, which I guess that's what she found in Barry. Financially, he was a stronger partner, but now that I'm older, I see that he had these demons. These demons, it was bad. He couldn't run from them, and being a blind alcoholic, that had to be excruciating for him. Mentally, it had to be really hard. Now that I'm older, I can see, or I have an idea of what he was really going through. But that still doesn't excuse his behavior toward a little girl. So, I had a boyfriend, Oscar, born. Oscar, everybody was becoming 5%ers back then. That was the thing. So, me and my boyfriend, Born, aka Oscar, we decided to cut school and, do some things that grown people did. I always hung around older people, and they wasn't virgins, so I'm like, damn, I want to experience that. 12 years old, talking about I want to experience. Lord Jesus, if only I had someone that I could have went to and talked to him. It would have been easy to talk me out of, the things that I was going through. I wanted to be grown, and then not only that, in order to keep a person interested, you know what I'm saying? You kind of have to do some of the things that they like, and I didn't want somebody to be interested in me, and then I don't do, what will satisfy their needs, and then they're not interested no more. I was used to just being shunned away unintentionally. I was different, and it showed. But I didn't have anyone who I can go to and talk to, and they can tell me these things. You don't have to be like everybody else. You stand out, which I now know. I had a head on my shoulders, and it was it was a lot for 11, 12-year-old. I had a lot of sense, probably too much sense. And I used to talk and I wanted answers, and I didn't have anyone to give me the answers or guide me the way that I needed to be guided. But my mother, she kept a roof over our head. So by the time I was 12 and we moved from Vernon Avenue to Dean Street, I started meeting more people, newer people, more boys. Me and Oscar, we decided to do some things, cut school, went to his house. Okay, I don't know nothing. I don't know what to do. This is new to me. So long story short, I was 12 years old. I've never had no kind of interactions with guys, sexually. One thing we did was kiss. So we in his bed, and I'm gonna be as real as I can be. At that young age, he could not get an erection. Couldn't get an erection. He kept trying. He was like, damn, do something. The fuck you want me to do? I don't know. Kept going in the bathroom, coming out, and it was soft and he could not insert it. Mind you, my shit was tight. That was just another time that my higher power was looking out for me. Needless to say that it didn't happen. It didn't happen, in the way that my mind was like, damn, I'm not even good enough, for, A, B, C, or D. Damn, it piled on top of, my negative feelings that I had about me anyway. I was never told by my mother or my father that I was smart. I was never told that I was beautiful. I was never told anything good. I used to get cracked on, always had light marks in my face. I remember my mother said one time, we was in my grandmother's house, Nita don't know if she want to be light skinned or dark skinned. And that really hurt my feelings. And my grandmother said, that's probably because you drink too much soda. Acid messes up your skin. My grandmother, she was trying to, throw out different things where it could be, versus my mother laughing at me. That hurt my feelings. She used to always crack jokes. It wasn't an intentional put down, but it made me feel like crap. I was already, at 12 years old, you're struggling, with things going on with your body. Other 12-year-olds, they're a bit more built. I was a little skinny old thing. And when we used to go shopping, my mother, she would buy my sister the Gloria Vanderbilts and the Calvin Klein. But she would tell me, oh, you can't wear none of these clothes. They don't come in your size. I didn't know that I needed to go into a kids section. She knew that though. That I didn't know that you can go into the kids section and get something that fit. My sister, she probably was able to get some things in a Mrs. department or something like that, more of a variety. But she never said, well, let's go in, the kids department and, find you something too. So my sister, she would get the designer clothes and I would have to get whatever was on the rack, some old bullshit. And I felt some type of way about that. Damn, why is she getting the good stuff, but I got to get the bullshit? Well, damn, if they don't have it in my size, get us both the same thing, same price range that's in my size, in her size. I used to think like that. And then when I did, I was, looked at a certain way. Oh, she's defiant. She's disrespectful. No, I just wanted to be equal. Don't tell me that she can get the high price stuff, but I got to get, the bullshit that's on the rack. The $3 pants and shirt. Nah. And I wasn't buying into that. Even at a young age, when I heard bullshit, I knew it was bullshit. I was probably too smart for my own good, too advanced for a 12-year-old. So me and Oscar. It didn't happen. You know, he all frustrated, he upset. Oh, well, fuck it, this, that, that. I'm thinking it's something that I did wrong. So about 5 days later, well, anyway, let me take a couple of steps back. On Nostrand Avenue, Nostrand and Herkimer, it used to be prostitutes, you know, out there standing at night. On Nostrand Avenue and Herkimer. Yeah, prostitutes out there. I gotta pause this for a second. I got somebody trying to reach me.